Yeah, hi everyone, and thanks for coming out. I didn't actually didn't volunteer, I got suckered. So, anyway, today we're going to talk about Evergold. It's kind of a bit of taking some dust off from some of the history. We've worked up there in 2021 and haven't been back since. So we're pretty excited about it. We've managed to go raise a little bit of money to do this, and thanks to Mark for lighting up the Toodoggone and Thesis, of course, and of course Sun Summit. Everyone's going. So the usual forward-looking statement, don't believe anything I say. Anyway, so everyone knows the Toodoggone here. We have basically Centerra down here with Camas, AMark, Aurora Discoveries right there, Highview on the outside fringes, Sun Summit, Finley, Freeport joint venture, and then we're way up in the far north here. And the Golden Lion project was drilled back it was originally found back in the 1980s. Newmont did a lot of work up there, did a bunch of drilling. It was quite an interesting target. They pulled some pretty decent epithermal systems, and that was the main focus. It was staked by Charlie and kind of back in 2007 and kind of rolled into Evergold, which we were involved in. So just a quick idea where we are geologically. We're right up at the very end here. So you can see Toodoggone Formation on the south. We clip the edge of it right around Golden Island. We're right in the contact here with the younger Toodoggone volcanics and the older rocks up here. So, quick look at the mag. Obviously you can see the structures coming up here. All the magnetics, things still converge. So this whole area is pretty promising. One interesting point is, if you look at all the mineralization, you have a lot more porphyries on the east side and then a lot more epithermals on the west side, which could be a little bit tilt, the porphyries at depth, things like that. So Golden Lion, since we were there last time in 2021 during COVID, a lot of things have changed. I mean, the activity up there, the access, the people, there's so much more going on with Thesis and Ranch, and even where we can get to with the access road within 10 kilometers of a road now. So it's a huge difference from flying 40 kilometers. Now you can get a lot closer for your slinging and get everything set up that way. So 100% owned. It's adjacent to the Thesis Gold Ranch project and the TGG Bot project that surrounds us. We'll kind of get into a little bit more. We do have a drill permit, and we're going to go drill this summer, and that's kind of the main goal here, what we're trying to do. So a lot of fluff in the background. This is more corporate talk. That's why it's... So Golden Lion, just a little more basically showing what the claim outlines are. You have the Bot property, Thesis, the Sun Summit Theory property also has some very interesting copper results they've been putting out in recent times. So like I say, it was staked by Charlie in 2007, and we've held it ever since. It got rolled into Evergold, I think around 2017, and then became that. So historically, been quite a bit of work done up here. A lot of it was done by Newmont in the 1980s. So they did a lot of IP, VLF, magnetics. They did a good program, and they discovered a nice little gold zone. So between Newmont and us, we've put about 5,900 meters into the program. And there's also some historical drilling we'll touch on in the copper zone to the north. We have a nice little low-grade envelope, which we want to hopefully expand this year. And basically we want to do look at some of the rocks in the northern part of the property also for copper. So here's our target areas. So we really want to evaluate some of this copper porphyry system up here this year. And basically this is our main area we're going to drill this year, but this is where we'll do recce work and focus on the copper exploration. This is our main gold zone. As you can see, we have this controlling structure coming up through here, which is what we're going to look at next. Here's the GL1 main zone. That's where all the historical drilling is focused. And the GL2 zone, we have some interesting mineralization out there, more skarn-like, but this is kind of what our main goal is. This is just a 3D resistivity model. We did some geophysics up there in 2021 and modeled it up, and we've done a little bit of work actually pulling this up to a drill-ready stage. So we actually went back to the old data, took some time and went through it, and we actually got some nice looking targets here. So one of this side is just kind of demonstrating, we haven't really explored a lot of this property. This is the geochemistry cobbled together over various areas. So you can see the GL1 main, this is obviously gold geochemistry, that's really where it lights up. And the GL2, we have some very nice gold numbers. But as you head up towards the Yellow Dog and Copper King and Claw, the gold dies off. So that's something we want to take a look at. But if you look at how much area hasn't been covered and prospected, that's really where our goal is. Copper is a bit of a different story. As you can see here, the copper really lights up and around the Copper King and going to the north. And that's where we really want to focus on for a bit of a different type of exploration. So it's going to be a bit of a two-phase approach this year. We're going to basically look at the drilling of the main gold zone, and then we actually want to do regional exploration on the copper zone, do some IP, do some regional surveys, things like that to try and understand that area, given what's happened in the camp. So here's just a quick view of basically the GL1 main zone. So here's basically a reverse fault coming up. You get the Toodoggone formation in the south, and basically we're just going to look at this area here. Really, this area here with the yellow lines, all that's really been explored systematically. And this is really, this little area here is all that's been drilled. So that's what we really want to try build on and say, can we step out? And I think we have some ideas what we can do. So just a quick example of the last section of the 2021 drilling. This is the last hole drilled in 2021. Bear in mind, all the magenta is greater than 1 gram gold. So there's a lot of smoke around, but this section really kind of lights things up and says, okay, well, you know, we're still only 100 meters away here on either side, but if you look where this hole sits, we're looking kind of to the southwest right now. If you look where this hole sits, there's a lot of vacancy. We can actually step back and say, okay, well, maybe we didn't drill the right spot, or we didn't drill the right orientation, which actually proves we can show. So here's some of the down dip base mineralization. As you can see, we have a nice, fairly steep dipping body coming down here. We got some nice mineralized intercepts at 66 meters of 1.36 grams, 40 meters of 0.98, 40 meters of 1.99 with 23 grams per ton silver. Obviously, like everyone, you kind of lump in all the good stuff with it. So I try to avoid that, but we'll take a look at the next slide here. So here's just a quick of some of the geology that Taylor Quinn, who's going to be our exploration manager, put together. He's actually just finishing his master's. I think it's today or tomorrow, hopefully. And then we can actually get him up and he'll run the project. He's actually been up there. He's a great young geo. He's been doing this for about 10 years, but he'll be fantastic up here, so we're pretty excited. So as you can see, most of the gold mineralization sits up in this fracture zone here, and basically these are little intrusions off the Toodoggone formation. And this is the older rock of the tackle probably getting pushed over top of it up in here. So here's some of the alteration that's been. So I'm a geophysicist, so I'm not even going to talk about it, but you can get the idea. So we can kind of see as we get away, we lose our gold grades, which is kind of interesting. And basically right in here, we have all our mineralization. However, if we look at our actually silver grades, this is where it gets interesting. So here's some of the high grade zones we're getting. So if you were to imagine if we drilled a hole this way, we'd come right over top of it. If we drilled a hole through there, we'd miss it completely. But if we drill the proper orientation, we can actually line up the dots. So bear in mind, this is 2 gram cutoff. This is just a 2 gram line, and these are cut at 5 grams per ton. And these are cut at 20 grams per ton silver. If you notice here, you're seeing silver going a little further out to the west here. So here's just a quick view of basically some of the high-grade intercepts. This is a 20-meter intercept. So you can see some very high-grade numbers, and it has some low-grade supports around it. We have base metal mineralization, so it's an intermediate-grade sulfidation system, so we have quite a bit of lead and zinc also associated with it. So here's the next side up, is basically we're saying, okay, well let's look at the higher grade numbers yet. So now we said, let's cut the silver at 200 grams per ton, and let's cut the gold at 10 grams per ton. So once again, we see this nice little zone coming through here, but all of a sudden the silver way out here is kind of getting really nice grades. So these are 200 grams per ton little spikes. So there's lots of noise going out here away from the structure itself. So this is saying, okay, well, when we were up there, silver was what, I don't know, 5 years ago, it's changed a lot. Say about the gold price. So if we can track that now and do a systematic exploration and keep doing this, we can actually build some tonnage here, relatively speaking. So here's just a quick view of some of this geology of these sections here. Here's basically this interval here. You can see some of the geology, some of the fabric and textures through it. And this is our main zone where we get 32 grams per ton. So as you can see, this zone here is where we're looking. But notice how this zone and this zone tie up. But if you drill this way, so a lot of the holes were drilled down dip over top of it, versus when you actually drill the proper orientation, you actually get systematic mineralizations you connect up on the dots, which is what we want to try to do. So the idea is to basically step over, systematically step it off, and move it further back. If you notice, the mineralization is a little further to the northeast of where we're looking, these holes here. So that's what we kind of try building on. Those are some nice values, so hopefully we can get some joy here. Sorry, I can't stop it here, so just gonna let it run out. Anyway, we'll step around. Gork, my favorite partially, is geophysics. So one nice thing is everyone always talks about high chargeabilities, like everyone always talks about chargeabilities of 30, but really chargeability is relative in its background. So chargeability can also do many things. It can map rock types, so which is probably what it's doing here. So this is more mapping lithologically, because it's only about 8 millivolts per volt. So that was one of the original ideas, like let's drill the chargeability anomaly. Or we look at the flanks of the chargeability anomaly, and it seems to be lining up. So the next step is resistivity might be more of a useful tool. So the resistivity partially maps the fault structure and powerfully maps the alteration halo. So if we can use our alteration guidelines here from our resistivity and say, okay, well, this is our contact here. Let's follow this out now and stick the drilling into this, because a lot of the historical drilling was back over here versus right not in the fault structure in the intense alteration zone. And we want to always check geophysics. So we took a map and put geophysics on top of it. And guess what? It works. So therefore, we can see this trend here tracking along. This is my mistake, that she should have gone this way. And you can see this trend, but you can see how this mineralization kind of is out in front of these other holes back here. So we really want to focus on trying to change our direction of drilling, do fans, systematic fans right into this body here, and then track it along this whole structure, because this structure runs for quite a few kilometers, more so than we've actually even looked at yet. So the idea is, okay, well, can we use resistivity? So why not use resistivity and do CSAMT or something like that, get some more depth onto it, and basically different techniques, just try different ideas. As you can see here, it kind of lines up with the geology quite nicely, which makes me happy because my model works. So that's the first side of the trick. So we're a bit of a two-trick pony. We went back and looked at some of the historical copper potential. And this is where it gets kind of interesting, because we have a lot of copper up here. The Golden Lion was typically looked at, even when we were up there, we didn't do a lot of work, but we actually started looking at the copper numbers. They're pretty spectacular. I mean, granted, it's grab samples, so you can have a lot of high-grade samples, but you get a lot of copper. I mean, anything labeled is greater than 1% copper. So this is a GL2 zone, some skarn-site mineralization. You get up in here, you get some nice high-grade numbers all around here, scattered throughout. So we're like, okay, we know next door at the Theory Project, they're also getting some very nice splashy numbers. It looks very similar. So is this something else we got to look at? Now, if we actually go through the history book and go back and say, let's take a look at 1973 drilling, somewhere around there, I think it was. They're talking about native copper. There's no assays, but they have like 100 feet talking about native copper within the core. So like chrysocolla, some bornite, pyrite, things we should take a look at. So that's something to go back and say, why not? But, you want to back that up somehow. So we look at stream sets. So we go back and compile all the stream sets. These are pretty anomalous numbers. Like when you're starting to see 500-600s in stream sets all around a big area, bear in mind this is 1.4 kilometers. So you have a large area of highly anomalous stream sets. So why aren't we looking? Hence the reason we're going to actually plan a program and look up there. So first of all, step one, find money. We got that checked off last week or the week before. So we're funded for the year. So that's a very challenging one. So what we're probably going to do is go back to the main zone. Magnetics could be our friend because we have these mag destruction zones proximal to the epithermal system. So we're going to try some low-level magnetics and do some LiDAR, get some nice detailed models. So we're going to drill about 4,000 meters, probably do 4 or 5 pads and do fans off them, very similar to that last set of holes I showed you, and systematically just step it along, move it over, step it along, move it over. We aren't going to outthink ourselves. We aren't going to try to get too smart. We're going to look at property-wide airborne, because to date, we haven't flown property-wide airborne. We've flown only around the Golden Summit area. I mean, that's my sister's company, sorry. So around the Golden Line, the GL1 zone. So we're really going to just focus on there and basically expand out and say, hey, let's see if we can build this thing into something else. We're also going to basically do property-wide sampling in the northern part of property and some induced polarization where those drill holes were. I mean, we have the ability to do this. We have funded for it, we have the time to do it, and we have a bit of a plan. So yeah, we kind of had a bit of a mix-up earlier this year. Kevin Keogh, who was our longtime president, resigned, and I got suckered with the job. So far, so good. Charlie Gregg became our executive chairman. I think he also kind of got suckered. I think he doesn't think he did, but I think he did. And then we got some great other people. So Leon is our CFO, Monique, Alvin Jackson, who many of you know also, and Brian Buttersworth also came on board. So we have some pretty great people, and we have a lot of skill sets, and we have a lot of experience to draw from. And that's it.